January 28th, 2023. My name is Łukasz Kabzinski. This is testimony number 9 about Tomasz B, colleague from the police force in Gdańsk. Tomasz and I met in 2002-3, just like with Peter and Franciszek around the same time. We were part of the same airsoft team. Franciszek, Peter, they were kind of reserved towards him. He would attend those airsoft games with his dad. His dad was also part of the airsoft team, Joseph. He would often drive us to those games. Pretty much any meeting after we stopped playing airsoft around 2009-10, any meeting with Peter and Franciszek, Tomasz was never part of it. The shooting range visit, 2007, June 2007, and Franciszek, he wasn't part of it. That's interesting, right? So there's always one guy missing, right? One guy short. Whenever I'm meeting with Franciszek and Peter, there's one guy missing, right? So there can never be a situation where there's full house, right? He would invite me for New Year's Eve, I think 2008. He was living with his girlfriend at the time, Gdańsk Oliwa. There was another flat that he lived in that he invited me to, I think Osiedle Kolorowe in Gdańsk. He used to work in Solid Security. This is where he met Sebastian, the same Sebastian invited me to the camping trip. I got acquainted with Sebastian through Tomasz around 2008. A couple of reenactment sessions that I did with them. I took pictures of them and stuff, you know, just like they put on their military gear, and I took pictures, just, you know, laughs and giggles. Tomasz joined the police force around 2007-8. There was a call that he attended. When he arrived at the scene, Sebastian with his body was there, and Sebastian super embarrassed, and that he calmed his colleague down. Like, he said that he shouted at him, like he felt embarrassed. Like, essentially Sebastian did Tomasz's job on that call. Tomasz has a sister. I briefly met her. I might have just, you know, seen her at some point. So his sister would date Michał, a neighbor next block. It's going to be a separate testimony. Michał is an interesting person as well, person of interest here. He mentioned buying the same car that Michał used to have, same model, I think, although I never saw Tomasz with that car. We were at Franciszek's friend flat, Mati, some sort of an eye surgeon. That's the guy who Franciszek told me about on July 13th on the way back from that shopping in Gdynia. That he told me that story, that he was studying medicine in Czech Republic in Latin, right? So that's the guy, that's the flat that we went to 2010-8-9. During that party, at some point, Tomasz arrived in a police car. We went out to just, you know, say hi and everything, but Biały stayed indoors, and you know, it was laughable. I mean, it was funny because he literally turned pale, right? So as if he was scared, right? That was ridiculous. Maybe they used it for something. Peter likely wasn't there. He was in the UK at the time, supposedly. Krzysztof's testimony number 1, former patrol buddy of Tomasz. I got acquainted with Krzysztof through Tomasz. They were involved in a call about some sort of a bus stop vandalism, where they supposedly, you know, they use excessive force, and they had you know, a criminal case open up against them, or just against one officer. Krzysztof who invited me to his criminal proceedings as a guest in 2016. Very interesting. There's definitely something going on here. Testimony number 1. At some point I started hanging out with his patrol buddy, whilst Tomasz hangs out with Mateusz. Mateusz was suspended since 2013, I think till late 2016, supposedly for buying a stolen ballistic helmet used by special ops unit in Gdynia. The moment Mateusz he gets unsuspended in 2016, he gets teamed up with Tomasz. These two start hanging out together. I don't hang out with neither of these, despite having good relationships with both of them. Well, more with Tomasz. And I, on the other hand, I get to hang out with Krzysztof, right, former patrol buddy of Tomasz. They both changed appearances. Mateusz changed his appearance, grew a beard, changed his nickname. So did Tomasz. Grew a beard, changed his nickname around the same time, 2016-15. Last meeting in 2015, March 2015, I was coming back from a meeting with wedding clients. I signed a contract for July of 2015, so I was coming back from that meeting on a train in Gdańsk. He invited me over to a flat he was living in Gdańsk Zaspa, behind the hospital. Supposedly his girlfriend at the time was a nurse who worked in that hospital. It was some sort of a work flat. Since 2015, despite having a very good relationship with Tomasz, there's chats about meeting, getting together, and it never comes to fruition. There was a conversation in 2016 on Facebook Messenger. Tomasz replies with voice messages, and throughout the conversation his voice shifts, his voice changes into, at some point it morphs into Krzysztof's voice.
No słuchaj, no zdaję te egzaminy wszystkie i teraz zdałem drugi etap. Jest weryfikacja kandydatów, także w kwietniu będę miał informacje co dalej, nie? Bo kurwa w czerwcu jest ten poligon zgrywający, ten przed wyjazdem szkoleniowy i w lipcu wylot. Tak mniej więcej taki właśnie okres czasu, także kurwa, no wszystko jest w toku, nie? No kurwa chciałbym polecieć, no kurwa, no i ta przygoda. No ale zobaczymy, no mam nadzieję, że polecę, no. Mówię, 2 etapy zdałem. Tak przede mną. To znaczy wiesz, relatywnie bezpiecznie, no kurwa, jak to się spierdoli, no to słuchaj, to tak, aczkolwiek faktycznie, no już bardziej coś tu mi się stanie w Gdańsku, bo to kurwa, tu się od chuja dzieje, już miałem w tym roku kurwa 4 akcje, że kurwa coś do mnie z kosą wyskoczył, nie? No ale tam to kurwa rzeczywiście, no ale mówię, fajna przygoda tam, bo to kurwa, że z hałasem sobie pojeździsz kurwa po mieście, to fajnie kurwa. Przecież kurwa Pietras to jeszcze sam jest dziecko, kurwa, i on dziecko chce wychowywać. No ja do niego chyba do chłopaka nic nie mam, bo jest miły, w porządku, czego kurwa. No słuchaj, on ma zupełnie inne życie, on ma jakby zupełnie inne potrzeby w życiu, kurwa, inaczej na życie patrzy, no. Ja kurwa od 8 lat w policji zapierdalam, jedno widziałem, kurwa, wiesz, no to troszeczkę inne życie. Ty tam kurwa gdzieś jeździłeś po Stanach, pracowałeś w różnych miejscach, kurwa, a on co, on kurwa tylko wycieczki, tatuś pieniądze daje, kurwa, jak ktoś się zesra, idzie do tatusia, kurwa, no tak, no ale mówię, no nie jest zły chłopak z niego, no można z nim pogadać, dobry chłopak, tylko taki kurwa, no dzieciak, nie? Tak właśnie mówimy, dzieciak. Łukasz, on był już ustawiony, kurwa, 20 lat temu do chuja. No nie, no to kurwa, no trudno, żeby był nieustawiony, stary, bogaty. Ale z drugiej strony, kurwa, ty no, jak miałbyś siano, nie pomagałbyś swojemu synowi, wiadomo, żebyś pomagał, kurwa. Tylko kurwa, ja bym tak nie rozpieszczał. Tak, żeby też gówniarz poczuł, kurwa, że trzeba zapierdalać, żeby coś mieć, nie? Bo mówię, tam moi rodzice też tam biedni nie są, a trzeba zapierdalać, na przykład co mam, to zapierdalałem sam, kurwa. Fura, mieszkanie, kurwa, wiesz. I co, kurwa, wiesz, mówię, te 8 lat w policji, kurwa, łysy już jestem, włosy mi, kurwa, nie rosną, a jak mi odrosną, trochę to, kurwa, siwe, nie? I także, ale raczej zapracowałem sam, nie? No dokładnie, kurwa, jakby go wyjebała na alimenty, chłopie, to kurwa są dość duże przy nas alimenty. Biorąc pod uwagę, kurwa, znaczy, kurwa, nie wiem, znaczy nie wiem uwagę, no ale kurwa, jakby obrót całkowity wzięli, kurwa, tymi pieniędzmi, to kurwa, by dość duże przydzielili. To by pizda było, jakby go wyjebała na alimenty, kurwa. Co ty, kurwa, no to chwila jak w topka, kurwa, także nie sądzę, żeby, wiesz, żeby miała tam Piotrowi, kurwa, jakieś problemy robić, nie, kurwa, no się będzie go trzymać, chłopie, wiesz, aż do, kurwa, zajebanej śmierci. No bo, kurwa, no trafiła, jakby lotka wygrała, no. Kurwa, w topka, nie w lotka, co ja pierdolę, lotka. Kurwa.
And completely didn't make sense at the time. I thought he was just banter. Maybe there's some cryptic message there or cryptic meaning there or not. But point of the matter here is that throughout the conversation, in those voice messages, his voice shifts into Krzysztof's voice. That's hearable. I mentioned that in one of my letters to the police that I sent last year in 2021. In July of 2020, after the camping trip, on my Facebook timeline, a picture appeared of a guy who looks exactly like him, who looks like a slimmer version of Tomasz B. Even there's a mole on his head that matches. Guys, standing in a suit with a microphone. That person is tagged with the name of my former junior high school Polish teacher, right, head teacher. So like, that's just too much of a coincidence, and it's just too much for a coincidence, right? It's clearly some trickery going on there, right? That also was mentioned in one of my letters sent to the police in 2021. Clearly an indication of some sort of a trickery going on my social media.